mean, today, my mother would hit the number here and there, get things that she wanted and so on and so forth. But another thing that you began to learn in these communities is that people were, very interesting. You go down to a beauty parlor, you take a piece of paper, you didn't know why, or, somebody, every time I talk about this, someone says, oh, my grandmother, my mother, or somebody. So, playing the numbers for kids was a way of transmitting culture through play, which kids do very well. And hopes and dreams are what we all do, and all of us gamble on something or another, punch or something, and we are so filled with numbers all the time. It's like, how tall are you? How short are you? How many people are in this room? How much money do you have? How much do you want? How many kids do you have? This. How many months is it before the baby's going to be born? How old is that? How many kids do you have? We are one big number. And when you think about it, the way my mother used to do the numbers is what a lot of people did, right here in Baltimore and everything. They make a whole list. They make a line. They knew what the number was every single day, every day of the year. My mother had a book where it went back to 1939. Because you had to look at patterns. Yes. And you had to look, and you knew that this was a gamble anyway, so things were going to come up. But now, I always saw my mother and them as the villagers. They were the villagers. And then their counterparts were the Wall Street technocrats. Because if you look at the Wall Street papers, like the numbers and everything, it's all in a row. It's all about what had happened today. It went up 0.2%. It's noted. And they look at, what do you call those things? They look at capitals. Today they tell you, oh, Biden is going to be worth a whole lot of money one day. That's a big guess, that's a big hunch. I know when I was in graduate school, my graduate teacher said, oh, the numbers, that's nothing. It's like, it's not really reliable. Well, I mean, Wall Street is not all that reliable. It has to be 2000 and well, it's all the time right now, It depends on who you are, but you can get it. It's all about that. So, but anyway, so here's the technocrats and here are the villagers. And there's a synergy that's going on, and there's something that's happening with that. So I always wanted to be able to write all the numbers out like my mother, but it was just too much. She had a page full of numbers, and it was always amazing. How did she pick the ones that she wanted? But then dreams and other kinds of signs. So women probably, and men too, I'm sure, have hunches. And we, kind of like, we're supposed to be able, you walk in the door and you try to hide something from your mother or somebody like that, and they say, well, like I have a niece, and she was, talking about this friend of hers, and never saying who this friend was. I said, so what's his name? No, I said, is he married? And she said, yes, Aunt Joyce. But okay, anyway. You got a hard road to hoe, girl. So, but she's in her 30s, and she's trying to find who she is in her life and whatnot. And so we all go through these changes. My work isn't so much directly about my history or anything like that, although my mother is certainly a big part of it. But I like color, and I like, doing that kind of stuff. So my work, that piece there, you saw it in, is big circle. So I make little teeny circles, big circles, and then medium circles, and then sometimes I make great big giant circles. And
that's this piece, which is hung differently.
Oh. Yeah, this piece is,
you wired it differently on you.
Yeah, you can put this. I did a series called the Turnaround Series.
Thanks, Joyce.
So if you notice the green circle and the purple circle, they're half of that circle. They're one half of the other circle, so you can, put this kind of a little bit oblong, like a little bit circular. So that's probably just whatever happens when you're taking a picture and you don't get everything right. When you're reproducing it, put it on that thing. 1949, remember, we don't have all Offspring 1 and 2 is really like, brothers and sisters or sisters and sisters. They are basically the same. They have the same gene pool, but they look different, So, Offspring 1, Offspring 2. That's, sometimes the I don't know if it's really about that, but that's what I call it, because they were mirror images of one another, but in a different way. And then there's a piece inside called, don't talk so loud. Yes. Just kidding. I promise, Mom, that wouldn't make it. know. But sometimes artists can be a little, you know, we have humor. And, you know, sometimes it comes out in work. But the other one inside is called Harriet Arrives with Six. And I'm usually not doing a narrative, but I did a project in 2005 called Steelway. It was an artist's book of 11 abstract etchings and 11 collages on the other side that included an audio CD. And on that CD were vignettes from people who had survived slavery, who escaped slavery, and people who helped. So it was just a little story about several vignettes about slavery days. And one of the stories from William Still's book called, The Underground Railroad, Tales of Harrowing Escapes. And back in the 19th century, they had these very long titles. Something was very, very long. Anyway, that was one of the stories there, and it said Harriet arrives with six, and Thomas Garrett was writing this story and saying that Harriet had arrived with six. They walked the shoes off their feet. Harriet and another man walked the shoes off their feet. I outfitted them with a new pair of shoes and sent them on with this trusted Negro. You take them to the next stage. And so that picture is really about Harriet arriving with six. And so I did all the research at the Library of Congress, and so this little 12-inch book that has 11 parts, 132 inches or 11 feet, there goes the math. The bottom side of that book is about math, because it's a square, there's a circle and a pentagon. And I figured you was escaping from slavery, you had to have some smarts, which is the square is kind of like cognitive then in the sacred and art. The circle is that everlasting circle that God keeps us in his heart, or her heart, or the ancestors' hearts. And the pentagon, believe it or not, really stands for mankind and intuition and safety. So I figured if you were running, you had to have some good sense, you had to have intuition, and you had to have God's help. So in that book, there are several pages, 11 pages. One page is called Helping Hands, and that one is one of the most significant pages for me because I know that nothing could have happened without helping hands all along the way. You can't read any part of American history, and especially during that time of American history, and not find some helping hands somewhere. You know, some of the ones that we really know about, like John Brown, he was like, wow, he was, you know, he was it. He, you know, he just like, Thomas Garrett, a lot of people had their money taken from them because they helped runaway people running from slavery, and they had a lot of hard times, but they still did it anyway. So that was my homage to that, because I always thought that one person ran, they caught him, you know, beat him up, all that kind of good stuff, the dogs were barking, the mud, the whole thing, the visual that we see. But the real history is a lot different. People picked up and left for very many reasons, you know. They, one lady had 5 kids, she went to her neighbor, and somebody would go to them and say, you know, I don't want my kids to grow up in slavery. But they can't walk. And I'm saying, why can't they walk? What's wrong with them? Oh, little. Too little to walk away. So the neighbor said, yeah, good idea, let's do it. And so what did they do? They took 2 of his best carriages and 4 of his best horses and just politely loaded up and left. No dogs chased, and they ended up in Delaware, you know. So people left for a lot of reasons. Some people put themselves in the box and mailed themselves out. And then other people, so it's a very interesting story. People wrote back, people sent money back, and Harriet Tubman was one symbol of all of that. There were so many people who helped others to escape and came back to help them. And the book is also mixed with music and as well as spoken word. And so I was trying to merge all of that together so people could go back and maybe study a history that we really is very available to all of us, and that we should know about. I thought maybe, oh yeah, it's already been said, but you know, a good friend of mine, Bernice Johnson Reagan, who helped me in that book, she actually scored and sang the music for me. She said, Joyce, no, who told you that? And I'm standing saying, I told you that. And she said, well, actually, no matter how much you contribute, how big or how small, you all are part of the people who are bringing this story forward and this history forward that we need to know so we can better understand everything that's happening. Because a long time ago, they had a big land bust too, where everybody was, John Burnham, as a matter of fact, got caught up in, according to what I'm reading, I don't know how true it is, but anyway, land speculation. And land speculation was a big thing back in the mid-1900s. And what happened was the bank just kind of sold all their land before it all became worthless. Sounds familiar? You know, the same thing happened with the stock market today. And if you have inside insider trading, these things can happen, people fail. That's a whole nother story, but anyway, these people who help people escape, I think that they were such great heroes, and so that's what that piece is about. And you know, you can tell that it's a lady, her head, great big shoulders. So, in the abstract way, I was saying that Harriet Tubman had these fierce shoulders on which a lot of people have found their way. And so